Well, thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Our next guest made her bones. See what I did there? I'm sure I'm not the first idiot to make that joke. As Temperance Brennan on the hit series Bones, but you can now see Emily Deschanel in a different kind of role on TNT's Animal Kingdom, where she plays Angela, a recovering addict, ex-con attempting to infiltrate the Cody family. Let's take everybody, please welcome Emily Deschanel. Let's hear it. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks.
So you hadn't really acted in what, like 2 years since the Bones finale?
Yeah, about 2 years. I think I did a drunk history.
In between?
Very serious acting in between, but I have not. That hasn't aired yet.
Oh,
but yeah,
really?
Yeah, I did that before. But yes, yeah, basically 2 years.
So what was it about this part and about this show that coaxed you out of an extended vacation?
Well, raising 2 kids is not exactly a vacation.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to take that time off because I'd spent so much time away from my kids doing Bones for almost 12 years. So
How old are your kids now?
I have, my one son is almost 8 and I have a 4-year-old. So
It's a great time to be able to spend at home with them
Yeah.
as well. Those are great ages.
they're great ages and they're great kids. And I love having any time with them. So yeah, so I basically just gotten to a point where I was considering doing something else. And my only criteria really was to do something different. And I spoken to my reps about like, hey, maybe I would be interested in acting again. And then this came up and it seemed different to play a character who just got out of prison and is a former addict and is part of this crime show. This show is very different tonally from Bones, on a different side of the law. So it just seemed like a perfect kind of thing to do.
You found this great look that the character has, which is just in her eyes at a certain point where it's unclear how much she's manipulating or how much she is sort of like how much chess she is playing with all of these people. And I think it's sort of the best example of it is when you watch the sort of MMA fight at one point and you watch him choking another guy out and you've just got this look of pleasure / like everything is going according to plan look on your face. Did you talk to the producers about that look, or is that just something that comes out of the writing that you found in that moment?
That's such a good question. It's not like I've ever talked about a look exactly, but
This is light squint.
Right. I think in that scene was like Angela's turned on. Like I think that's what it was supposed to be, and I was like, okay, what is that really? It's finding the balance of like where is she manipulating them? Where is she like she has genuine feelings about them, like good and bad, right? I mean, this is a character so. The show's about a crime family and this matriarch, Ellen Barkin's character, and she has these sons, and she had a daughter who died. And my character the character I play was her daughter's best friend. Mm-hmm. So she blames me, in that scene we just saw, like she blames me for her daughter's death because I got her daughter in her mind into drugs, right? And then I blame her for killing her daughter because she gave her money and stuff to kill herself with drugs. So I have genuine feelings about her killing her daughter. I have genuine feelings for her daughter's son, who I kind of helped raise.
Right, it's not clear like if you're manipulating them to a certain point. Like you have an end goal that you're trying to work with the exception of maybe getting back at Smurf.
Yeah, there's a lot of different kind of things where there's manipulation and also genuine thoughts and feelings. So it's interesting trying to balance that and figure it out. And so I was constantly trying to figure out where I'm doing something calculating and where I'm just,
So do you basically go into every scene like this is what she wants in this scene, and that's kind of the most that I'm going to get from the writers in terms of her end all goal, and I should just play the scene for what it is.
So the show is very different from say Bones and a lot of other shows in that there's never a writer on set. So you don't get to talk to a writer on set about what their intention was. So I would be emailing ahead of time to say, hey, is Angela, what does she want to do in this situation? And then, so I'd get some information, then I'd also make stuff up, which is also a lot of fun as an actor. But in my career, I'm used to having a writer there to kind of get into their heads about what the intention was there. And I could do that a certain amount, but not on set.
Most shows, including Bones, you have a writer or two writers, whoever is responsible for that script, right, on set, as well as your director.
Yeah. So at a certain point on Bones, we had the writers weren't there all the time, but that was after many, many seasons, and the writers' room was literally 2 doors down. So you just say, "Hey, can you come down and?"
Because everything's going basically in the same studio.
Yeah.
Like on the same lot, right?
On the same lot. So it was a whole different situation. And if there wasn't, if there wasn't a writer there, there was a producer. But anyway, you don't necessarily talk to them about the writing. But yeah, so it was a different thing. So I'd have to write ahead of time. And say, what is Angela doing here, and what are the intentions? And then you also just make stuff up. But
is the show shot in a way where you are given enough time to be able to do that? Because I'd imagine with Bones, you kind of need the writer nearby if you have questions, because that kind of show, it seems to me, you probably don't have time to really be emailing anybody when you're getting a script, right?
Yeah, you mean with Bones?
Yeah.
I mean, also we did 22 episodes a season.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And they're cranking those things out as fast as possible.
Yeah, I think we took the same amount of time to shoot the episodes, but it feels like they pile up on top of each other. And we did a lot of double up days, meaning we'd shoot start the next episode after 7 or 8 days. And so it kind of becomes a train that you're just riding, and you don't know how to to slow down. So yeah, it does feel like that, even though it takes the same amount of time to shoot the episodes, but it feels like there's more going on. So it was helpful. But
and there's less of a serialized overarching story with Bones as well.
Yeah, and at a certain point, I mean, I knew my character very well. So I mean, we did 240 whatever episodes of the show. At like 100, pretty much knew how my character was going to be, and if there's questions about
there's a format, so you can kind of be like, which scene is this in this episode?
Yes.
And they can be like, this is a scene where you recognize this, and then you go, okay, I got it. I know how to play that.
This is the heart-to-heart scene with my best friend, and this is the scene where we find out. I mean, each scene is different. You always want to find something new. I truly believe that. But yes, there's a certain amount that we know this is this type of scene and this is that type of scene, and we've done them many times before. So
this is the twist. Oh, so they're looking the camera there? Okay.
With an evil eyebrow arch. No, I don't know.
Were you nervous at all coming back and acting? You said, as you said, it's been 2 years with the exception of Drunk History, and every actor says that it's kind of like a muscle that you have to keep working and keep flexing. Was there any nerves coming back on that first day, that first shot that you had to do on Animal Kingdom? And what was the first scene? Was it the one with Ellen Barkin in the backyard?
It was maybe that scene that we... No, sorry. I was somewhere else earlier today. There's another scene. I had a scene with... I think it was a scene I did with Ellen Barkin, where I come in, I first appear to the family.
In the yard,
I think
right?
It was my yes, in the yard, and I ask, she gives me money. But she gives me money to disappear. There's a theme where she's always trying to give me money to disappear, but it's more money this time. She gave me $100 at first. So
she thinks that you're still an addict and that she can basically give you enough money to make you become an addict again.
Yeah, she could think she can manipulate that, which may be true. But yeah, you know what? It is a muscle, and you do kind of lose a certain amount. And and I never thought about it that way, really. And I just needed to kind of have distance from Temperance Brennan, my character on Bones, and to get away from that. So I didn't really think about it. But playing a different character and a totally different set, it was nerve-wracking. And Ellen Barkin is intimidating as a human, as an actor. Like,
I follow her on Twitter. She's intimidating.
She's intimidating. And she's amazing. And I've always loved her as an actor. And it was wonderful getting to work with her. But yeah, I mean, you kind of want to bring some, your A game when you come in. So yeah, it was nerve-wracking. It was different. And, at least I knew a couple of the crew members before because they'd worked on Bones. But yeah, it's a different set, and it's different. Like on Bones too, when a new actor would come in, new characters would come in, we had a lot of group scenes. So a lot of times they'd be, unless they were part of the person who died's family or a suspect, if they were recurring characters who were part of the crime-solving team, essentially, they were the Squinterns, they would come into a scene with all of us there, and we'd welcome them, and it would be kind of like, hey, here's our inside jokes, and this is what we do. This is how you put on gloves really fast, and this, we'd like give them like a little tutorial, and we'd welcome them with open arms, and it would be so many people. And in this show, it's like, I don't know if I barely did any scenes that were not just me and one other person. So I met people in piecemeal. It was a very different situation. And everyone's scheming against each other and stuff.
And Bones, Bones was Bones was on for like, what, 12 years?
Yeah, 11 and a half.
11 and a half years?
Seasons,
12
but the 12th
seasons.
season was half.
And you got Bones like pretty early. Is it fair to say early on in your career?
Yeah, especially when you think, I was 28 when I got that.
Yeah.
And I finished at 40. So it was a big chunk of.
That's what I mean.
Career.
Like that must be like another piece of the nerves, is going to another set and experiencing what another set is like, because your knowledge is like really based off of how this one set ran. I'm sure you did other little things
too. Yeah,
and a procedural, which is again its own. It really is its own conveyor belt. It's its own sort of form that keeps working in a way.
Yeah. It was a very different thing, and I had to kind of put things out of my mind about how I anticipate things work, or
Couldn't be on the Animal Kingdom set being like, that's not how we did it on Bones. Don't do that. Get out of there.
No, the furniture goes over here. The couch should be here, you guys. This is not
on Bones, we would. Yeah.
I know, it's hard to get, doing so many of them, it's hard to, I'm trying not to say on Bones all the time.
They can tell it's in your head the whole time. They're just going, oh, she's just thinking about Bones right now. After doing something for like 11 and a half years, do you end up missing it when you walk away from it? Or is there a sense of relief that, that period of time is over and you can kind of move on to new things?
All of it. I think it was something that I was not going to fight keeping alive, because we'd done so many episodes and we'd done it for so many years, and it was good to move on. But I loved working with the crew and the cast. I love those people, and we had such an amazing time working on it. So I truly I still miss it. I still see everybody here and there, and I'm still keeping in touch. I want to plan a whole reunion with everybody. Not like with us, but.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's easy on the reunion talk. You're going to get a headline out of that. Emily Deschanel's planning a Bones reunion.
But getting everybody in one plate, like even just trying to get a few people together. Like I remember TJ was away. TJ played Hodgins, and Tamara was in Canada. Michaela had a baby, and Dave Boreanaz is shooting a whole other show. SEAL team. So yeah, it's hard to get to nail people down. You
and your younger sister both had wildly successful shows on the same network at the same time. What was that like? I don't think I've ever heard of that happening, ever.
Yeah, I don't think that has happened before. Yeah, it's very strange. It's strange that it was on the same network, and
like, 'cause you go to the upfronts or something, and it'd be the two of you there.
Yeah, it was strange. It was really nice. It was really nice when there would be the Fox events and the upfronts, and any kind of Fox parties, and we would be there. That was a lot of fun. It's nice. And, she did such a different kind of show. And yeah, it's very unusual. The fact that we're both have had careers as actors and we're siblings is, I think, unusual on its own. And then to have series that last for a long time and then have them be on the same network, it was very cool. We tried to enjoy it as much as we could while it lasted, but yeah. Yeah.
But both of you, your father's a famous cinematographer. He's an incredible cinematographer, really one of the best. He worked with Hal Ashby. He just shot The Lion King as well, which is crazy. Yeah. He shot Passion of the Christ. Just like an incredible body of work. What was it like growing up around that? Did you get to grow up on set at all, or was that just kind of like he went to work?
No, we would grow up. We went on location with my dad, so there's. I remember going to the set. Being there, I was too young to remember, and the Black Stallion, I was too young to remember, but there's pictures of me there. And then, I remember The Natural being on set for that. And, but yeah, we would travel. It was really, I think, a great way to grow up. There's negatives to it because you don't stay in one school for that long, et cetera. But we got to travel and, go all over the world and see how different people live in different cultures. And that was such an amazing education. And like your family unit becomes really strong as a result because you're there together in different parts of the world. Right. So yeah, and I just got to see The Lion King, which is incredible and so cool that my dad in his 70s, like, he's used to putting cameras in different places and moving them and lighting things, but now he would go to work and he'd put on a virtual reality headset and decide where a virtual reality sun would be and where a virtual reality camera would be and where virtual reality animals would be. And then,
Is he the type of guy who's just always learning and always trying to find different things? And
apparently, because I don't know if I would say, yeah, he is, I guess. I wouldn't necessarily say that before this, but he loved that job so much. It was so cool to see him. I visited him on set and, it's really cool to see him. He loved it so much. It was, he's learning and he's using his brain in a different way after doing the same job. Every job's different, but it's totally different way of shooting something.
Do you find that having grown up basically on set gave you, in some ways, you were a bit more comfortable when you started acting and you could get on set? You just sort of knew the mechanics and knew how the job worked and how everything functioned?
In some way, yeah. I went to school for theater, and so you train basically to do plays, and that's a totally different thing. And I think if I had never had experience on set, it would be very weird to just go from that to a set. But it was still very different. I was a loader in the camera department for my dad and another cinematographer for a period of time.
You were?
Yeah, a short period of time. Yeah.
What was that? How did that happen, and what was that like?
It was a job that I could do. I trained with the guys who worked with my dad for a long time.
He was like, "You need a job this summer. We're shooting a movie. Time to be a camera loader."
No pressure, because like if you expose that film, it's ruined forever. Now they don't even have film.
Did you ever expose it?
No.
Oh, good,
my
good.
God. No, thank goodness. Yeah, no, it was a great learning experience. So I've been on set, but I don't know. It's very different though to step in front of the camera.
Right.
Even being on sets and being comfortable and having jobs on set. So it's still a very different thing. And then to forget the camera's there, which is so much a big part of your job as an actor. That's hard to do. Even now I find it hard to do sometimes,
Really?
Yeah.
You mug every now and then for the camera while
No, but you
shooting?
forget it's, I shouldn't, yeah, to forget that it's there, like to accidentally like look at it or like to really forget it's there and have like a private moment and as a character, sometimes like they're right in your face. And that can be like, you have to really kind of center yourself and I don't know.
Do you
I'm easily distracted?
Are you really?
Yes.
Do you find that with Animal Kingdom, it's a tougher part to play because it's new and it's also, I would say, more of a series of private moments, like you just said. Whereas in Bones, there's a private moment here and there, but it is much more about the plot machinations and moving that story forward.
For me, this part has been more difficult. But it's hard because I'm sure, I was getting to know this character. So that's a big part of it. And also I don't know if it's because it's private moments, but also because, you're manipulating people, but you don't always know where you are and where you aren't. And you're trying to figure that out and make those decisions. I don't know, and trying not to make it melodramatic or at least not too much. And then,
did you ever see yourself as someone who could play a manipulator like that? Because like Ellen Barkin as a manipulator is like, she's been playing manipulators for a long time in her career. She's A+ at it. But
she's good at everything.
Yeah.
I would say I don't see myself as a manipulator, but so I don't see myself as that. As an actor, you never want to put any limitations on yourself. So of course I can play any part, but no, that's more difficult in that I don't see myself as a manipulator, but then playing this part, I've had to look at my own behavior and think about, and I do manipulate, or I try to, but I try to manipulate for good. Like if one person, like if I'm in a friendship situation or family situation or work situation where somebody's coming to me and saying, oh, Joe is really bothering me by doing this. And then Joe comes to me and says, that you're bothering him by doing something else, and then I'll try to like, I will manipulate for good. I will try to at least like try and explain why Joe does what he does, etc. But so I've had to examine myself and see like, oh, you do manipulate too. You try to manipulate like for the better, but that's still manipulating.
Did you try to, is that something that you thought about and tapped into when you were going into scenes? Like, because every actor says, or most actors say, in order to do the scene, I have to find a little bit of myself in what the character is doing, no matter how horrible it may be.
Right. Sometimes I work like that, but I mostly like to work where I think about who this character is and why they why they behave the way they do, why they've become like they've become, and what things happen to them. And so I think about memories that they could have had and all of that. So that's more fun to me because you're building a life essentially as a character. But yeah, it is, I think, helpful to kind of see parts of yourself, so you don't feel so separate from the character. But I like to just build a character from the ground up, essentially.
Do you feel like you've been building this character from the ground up, like throughout the whole season, and that you're kind of still figuring out exactly who she is and how to play her as the episodes move forward?
Yes. Yes, I'm still trying. I mean, because they'll send you in different directions, and I'll have an idea. Like I had an idea of how I grew up, and my dad was not in the picture. And then there's a scene where I mention my dad and him being sick. I don't know, hopefully it's not giving anything away. And then I have to think about what my childhood was like, where I did have a dad, but what was he like and all of that. So it's kind of fun, actually. It's interesting, keeps you on your toes, but yeah.
So the character changes as it moves forward, and you have to change with what you thought about before with who she is at that point that they're telling you?
Yes, yeah.
Is that hard?
Not necessarily. You're making it up as you go. I mean, you're making it up either way, but keeping it straight sometimes, I mean, it doesn't matter necessarily, but.
I read that you enjoy watching this show a lot, as well as being on it. Did you find it hard to watch Bones as much as you can watch this, because you were kind of in almost every frame of Bones in a way?
Well, it's a totally different situation. I've never watched an episode I'm in.
You haven't?
Kingdom. No.
Oh.
I don't know if I ever will.
Really?
Maybe eventually I will. Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
So you can't. You're the type of person who can't watch yourself.
I wouldn't say I can't watch myself. I did end up watching Bones, but it's just hard. It's like hate watching.
I don't know how anybody could do that unless they're in charge of editing it or they can have some kind of control over it. Otherwise, you're just pummeling yourself.
I watched Bones, especially I directed an episode of Bones at the end, and I watched that. I had to watch that a lot. And then you become numb to your annoying acting. But
because you can also do something about it. You can shape it.
Yeah. And you're watching it for a reason, and it's not just to hate on yourself. But I enjoyed watching the show.
Until you got
I
part of it.
On it.
What was it like? How was it directing an episode of Bones?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I really loved it. Yeah, I mean, I knew the show so well, and I knew the crew, and obviously all the actors, and.
Would you direct again, or was it just sort of the time and place of getting the chance to do Bones and knowing that so well?
No, I would direct again, but I would want to. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it would be, but I enjoyed especially doing Bones because it was something I knew so well and knew everybody and was so supported and. But yeah, I really loved it. I would direct again, but I don't know what it would be. But yeah.
And your dad ended up directing an episode of Bones, right?
Yes.
How was it being directed by your dad?
It was awesome. But he would also tell me to sit up straight. I'm gonna sit up straight when So he he directed a couple movies, not just a cinematographer, and he directed some television too. And they actually tried to get him back on Bones several times, but then he'd always be away shooting a movie. It was awesome having him on set. And also there's some notes he would give as a director that you're like, really, you're telling me that as a dad? I certainly posture was one. I can't think of another one, but.
But that has nothing to do with the story or the performance. You're just nagging me like a dad nags their child.
I'm sure it's helpful for my character to have good posture. but I think there was also a dad in there telling me to have good posture.
You didn't want to feel at work like a person going, Dad, leave me alone. Come on.
Dad, leave me alone.
We have time for a couple questions from the audience. Right here. Hey, sir.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
My name's Markel. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the years of Bones. Actually met my wife and bonded with her back when the show first started. So your show really helped us to have such a long relationship. My question to you, Emily, is I know that your character only crossed over on, you had like a little thing on BoJack Horseman recently, and then with Sleepy Hollow. So I was curious if you had any shows or movies or animations in pop culture that you'd love to see your character cross over on.
Oh, that's a good question. I played myself on The Simpsons like last year, but I didn't get to play Temperance Brennan per se or anything like that. Oh my God. That's such a, I mean, anywhere. I'd do anything. I love it. I don't watch like so many animated series. BoJack Horseman is one that I have watched and really enjoyed, but I don't know. I mean, you know. People have asked me, like, what would Brennan say about Angela and stuff like that, which I think is hilarious. I think it would just be funny to put Brennan in any kind of situation because she'd analyze it completely as an anthropologist, as, you know, she's a cultural anthropologist as well as a physical forensic anthropologist. So I think it just adds, like, some comedy to anything, really, even if it's not intended. I'll have to think about that more.
Awesome. One more.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just curious, which when you see a script, what makes you inspired to do it?
That's such a good. I feel like that's a really good question. I feel like it really depends on the project. So, I mean, obviously, you look at the character. For me, you know, for instance, on Bones, not to just go back to Bones at all times, but I love the repartee between the two main characters. That was really fun, and it reminded me of some kind of old screwball comedies in a way, even though it was not completely comedic. I really love that. That's what drew me to that, and I love the character as well. This, for me, was the character. Like playing something very different than something I've played before, and kind of seeing somebody at the very bottom of their experience in life and coming out of prison and, you know, dealing with addiction, and, you know, that's an interesting subject matter for me too. So I don't know, it's all these different things, but it depends on the project. Sometimes it's like, oh, you get to go to New Zealand. Okay, that sounds great.
What was it like when Bones started taking off? Because, you know, getting a pilot is a miracle in and of itself. Getting a pilot that gets a first season is a huge thing. But when you get 12 seasons, basically 11 and a half years, as you said, and a show that really takes off, when did you notice that in the process of Bones, that like, oh wow, this is a thing, and this might last another 7 seasons or 8 or 9 seasons? When did you notice that, and what did that feel like?
I feel like it was a gradual thing
Right.
where when it first started, yeah, I mean, I'd done a few pilots before, none of them got picked up. And so just to get it picked up and then to get a full first season, like it's like winning, I've always said, it's like winning the lottery over and over and over again. So it just becomes crazy, and then you almost become numb to it because it keeps happening. Right,
they're like, you're getting 5 more seasons. Like, okay.
What? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
What else? What's for lunch? No, I think it's such a gradual, but when it first started though, I remember thinking, this could go for 3 years. And that was the longest I could conceive of in my head for a TV show to go. Like, it was never also my intention to be like a series regular on a TV show and do it for a million years. Like, some people, that's what they want to do. Right. And I didn't. I love doing it, but that I never set out like, that's what I want to do as an actor. So it was just, and usually jobs are much shorter for actors, you know? So it was very weird. The whole thing was very weird, and it became, like I said, it became like it just slowly built and built, and then you're like, yeah, 5 more seasons, whatever.
Was there ever a moment where you felt, I don't want to say like boxed in by it, but you never expected it to go as long as it did? Obviously, you're incredibly grateful to be an actor that has something that's going on for this long. But was there ever a part of you that was like, yes, I am grateful, but while I'm grateful, I never expected to be doing something like this long, and I miss being able to jump onto something in New Zealand or somewhere else. Did you ever have that pang when you were on it?
Yes, I mean, I loved it, and it also made complete sense. It was so wonderful to have a job. I got married while I was on the show, and I had kids, and it was so wonderful to be working while doing that in Los Angeles, where I lived and where I grew up, so my family's nearby. But yeah, there's times where and I will say, I always got every episode. I would crack it open and be so excited to read what was going to happen.
Right.
But that said, you're still playing the same character for 12 years, so you kind of get a little antsy to do something else, and you're, sitting.
Which is
like,
like
how did this happen?
not an antsiness you can express to any other actor because they're like, shut up, you're on a job. You got a job for 12 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think most actors, though, all understand like wanting to play different characters. But yes,
that's why they get into acting, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
But yes, it's amazing to do a show that lasts forever, and it's incredible, and we were so lucky to have that. But yeah, and it's nice to do something different now and play a different part, and yeah, continue to look for different things.
Well, I love Animal Kingdom. I think you're fantastic on it. I can't wait to see what happens. It's on TNT Tuesday nights, so that's
9
tonight
9 p.m.
at
Tuesday
9 p.m. Everybody give Emily a huge round of applause for stopping by Build. Let's hear it.